It's recording.
Hello, everybody from Afro Latina World. I'm very excited to making this video with a wonderful and a person with a lot of education, Deborah King. Deborah King is a certified financial strategist, as well as a HUD housing counselor and a real estate agent. Deborah, can you please share with the group how to get in contact with you?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure, Sarah. But first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to present to your group and just give you some tips and tricks as far as credit is concerned. Like she said, my name is Deborah Johnson King. I'm the CEO of the Deb John Group and Global Empowerment. And my contact number is 954-998-7500. That's 954-998-7500.
Wonderful. The reason why I wanted to make this video was for financial literacy. We're going to talk about, well, Deborah will talk about how to rebuild bad credit and credit cards. You got the floor, Deborah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, years ago, everybody used to talk about cash was king. Cash isn't king, Sarah. No, no, no. Credit is king. Because in this country, if you don't have credit, you can't do anything. And when I say do anything, I mean like make any really big purchases or just achieve financial independence. And it seems as though nowadays, especially with this pandemic, everybody's interested in credit. 68 million people have bad credit, 40 million more have an error on their credit. The credit industry is a $3 billion with a B dollar industry, and that was in 2018. So this is 2020. So can you imagine what it is now, right? 79% of people who disputed errors were successful in removing them. And the bottom line is everybody wants to have good credit, but there's just so many myths that are out there when it comes to your credit. Because a lot of people, they say, credit agencies are empowered with some kind of governmental authority, right? Most people think that. No. The truth is that credit agencies have no legal authority at all. They're just private companies. But because of the way the system is set up, they have so much say over our financial health. And another one is people believe that credit agencies are required by law to keep derogatory credit on your report for 7 to 10 years. Not true. Not true.
Wow.
There is no law that credit agencies report any items at all. They're required by law to remove all derogatory items that are older than 7 years, student loans and more. But in the case of like a bankruptcy, it can go to 10 years. And another myth is that the information on your credit report cannot be changed, that it's illegal or immoral to have the information altered or removed. Not true. Absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, the opposite is true. And with the Fair Credit Reporting Act as of 1971, both federal and state laws they make it mandatory that items be removed if they are not 100% accurate or cannot be verified in a timely manner. Okay? And then another myth is that paying a past due debt removes it from your credit report. Not true again. Just because you pay off an old debt, it doesn't change or erase the fact that at one time you were not paying on it as you agreed. But can this record be changed? Absolutely. Yes, it can. And then the last one is that a lot of people think that inquiries are not derogatory and will not affect your credit standing. Yes, it will. Absolutely. Yes, it will. A lot of inquiries is like the kiss of death on your credit. And anything that erodes your financial stability is damaging to your credit standing. Like in the case of inquiries, one or two, they're not bad, but any more than that, it begins to tell a story on their own about you and how you handle credit. And any prospective credit grantor is going to look at your credit report and think that you're desperate for credit. But they can be removed using the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971. And if they're removed using that act, they cannot come back on. Okay? So you can restore your credit. And you referred to the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1971. It gives all Americans the right to dispute and or investigate any item on their credit report that's inaccurate, erroneous, and obsolete items such as late payments, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, tax liens, collections, short sales, medical bills, and many other items can be removed from your credit file or can be updated to say paid as agreed. Okay? Now, let's get into a little bit. Why is credit important? Credit is part of your financial power. It helps you to get the things you need now, like a mortgage, a loan for a car, or a credit card, based on your promise to pay later. You know, buy now, pay later. That's what credit is. And working to improve your credit helps ensure that you'll qualify for loans when you need them. Now, let's take a look at your credit score. What is a good score? Okay. Years ago, back in the day, credit requirements to qualify for loans, mortgages, etc., were not so strict. But since this pandemic, the lenders, they have tightened their lending requirements. And right now, best credit is a score between 800 and 850.
Wow.
Excellent credit is a score between 750 and 799. And listen to this, Sarah. Good credit is a score between 700 and 749. That's good credit, okay? Not excellent or best. Fair credit is 650 to 699. And check this out. Poor credit is 600 to 649, okay? And bad credit is 300 to 599.
Okay.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So between 850 and 300 is 550. And these are points that are available to build your credit score, right? Because most people, they start out with a 500 credit score. And based on the scoring system, you're able to go up to an 850. So we have 550 points to play with that can be allocated, okay? That's available to help you build your credit score. Now, let's take a look at what goes into the credit score, okay? We don't know exactly what the formula is. It's kind of like, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? They have their secret recipe that's 11 herbs and spices. We know that it tastes good. We just don't know all of the 11 herbs and spices, but we know it tastes good. It's the same thing with your FICO score. We know what we can do to go ahead and get a good, better, best score, but we don't know exactly. So let's take a look at what we have here, the way it's broken down. Now, 35% of the points that are allocated to your score is for payment history, right? For your payment history, you're able to get a total of 192.5 maximum points. Credit utilization, and I'm going to explain this in depth in a little while, but credit utilization accounts for 30% of your score. That's like the amount of debt that you have compared to what your credit limit is. And then we have your credit history, where you can get up to 82.5 maximum points. Credit utilization was 165 maximum points, okay? And your credit history or length of history of your accounts is 15% of the score. New credit accounts, That's 10% of the score, and that's a total of 55 maximum points. And then we have the credit mix. That's 10% of the score, and that's a total of 55 maximum points. Now, let's get into this a little bit more for payment history. A lot of people say, yeah, but what exactly is payment history? That's how you pay your bills. The bank or your lender wants to know, do you pay your bills on time? And if you don't pay them on time, if you pay late, how late do you pay them? Okay, a late payment is like the kiss of death there, okay? Because depending on your credit score, you can get dinged 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 points sometime. Because the way the system works is like the higher your score for a late payment, you're going to lose the most points, okay? So you want to make sure that you pay your bills on time. And then credit utilization. This is a real biggie. All right, but let's go back to payment history a little bit, all right? Now let's just say that you have late payments on there and you want to go ahead and try to get them off. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Section 609, there are letters that you can write in to the credit bureaus to go ahead and get items removed from your credit. But the first step is to go ahead and send in a debt validation letter. What this does is that it wants you to get the creditor to go ahead and validate that debt. You want them to say, hey, that this debt definitely belongs to Deborah Johnson King, Sarah Valdez, okay? Because what happens sometimes, let's say, for example, you had a card with Macy's and you didn't pay Macy's. Macy's charged it off of their books and they sold it to a debt collection agency, right? So on your credit report, there's going to be the original debt from Macy's and there's going to be the debt from the credit bureau. I'm sorry, the debt agency that currently owns that debt. So you're going to have two derogatory items on your credit, but it's really just pertaining to one debt, okay? So you have to make sure that whoever is coming after you to try to get payment for that debt, they validate it and prove to you that they are the owner of that debt and that it is yours, okay? Now, let's take a look at the method of verification. The FCRA, that's the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it states that if a CRA validates your debt, you have the right to ask them for proof of the verification, okay? Now, also, let's suppose that they don't give you proof and they're still coming after you for that debt. Then we have another letter that you can send in. That's your violation of FCRA rights letter, okay? And then after that, if they don't remove it, then you have the intention to litigate letter, so on and so forth, okay? A lot of times, some of the credit gurus that are out there, they say that you can repair your credit yourself. Absolutely, you can repair it yourself. But repairing credit, restoring credit, this is a specialized field. You have to know what you're doing. Because if you don't, if you just go out there arbitrarily disputing everything that's on your credit report, you can make matters worse than where you started off at. Because let's say, for example, that you have a debt on there that's 6 years and 10 months old, right? According to the law, it should be able to drop off after 7 years, right?
Right.
Suppose you go ahead and dispute that account or an account that almost has that length of time on it. You're just going to go ahead and wake up that dead horse, right? Because just leave it alone for a little while. Because after it passes that period of time, it'll be easier to get it taken off of your credit.
You're saying after the 7th year?
Yep. But also you have to take a look at, the date of last reporting for that particular account. When was the last time it was reported on there? When was it open? You have to take a look at the amount on it. All of these things go into determining whether or not that particular account should be disputed. Okay?
Now, question, Deborah.
Hmm.
I've heard that once in the credit report, for example, a car that you purchased and it got repoed, after the 7 years, that company could repost that after those 7 years, like it's a brand new post for the credit report. Have you ever heard that?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
No.
But what you want to do, if your creditor sends you something in the mail, you want to make sure that you always open your mail to see what's being said so that you know what's out there, okay? But what you do not want to do is enter into any dialogue with them, whether it's written or by telephone, until you determine exactly what course you want to do with that particular debt, okay? Because sometimes, and I know some of the experts will hate me for saying this, not every debt should be paid, okay? That's why you need to go to someone that knows what they're doing to analyze your credit so that they can guide you in the correct steps, okay? Also, a lot of states have what we call a statute of limitations as far as that particular debt is concerned. In the state of Florida, the statute of limitations for credit card debt is 4 years.
Okay.
So once again, you have to analyze that particular trade line to know, should I leave it alone or do I need to address this particular debt, okay? Now, credit utilization. This is a biggie. Oh my gosh. Because what happens with credit utilization is that this counts towards 30% of your credit score, right? And what that means is that credit utilization is almost as important as payment history. Let me give you an example of credit utilization. Let's say that your credit card limit is $1,000, right? That's the limit. You can charge up to $1,000. But the balance that you have on that particular card is $800. Now you haven't maxed it out yet, right? But you're upsetting what we call your credit utilization because 30% of 1,000 is 300. So every time you go over 30% of your credit limit on a credit card, you're upsetting your credit utilization balance. And that's causing your scores to remain lower and not enabling you to maximize on the number of scoring points that you're able to get for that particular category. Because remember over here, right, we said that credit utilization, you can get up to a maximum of 165 points, okay? I had a client that she came to me and she's like, Deborah, I pay my bills on time and I haven't missed any payments or anything, but my score is not moving. It's just not going up. I said, okay, let's take a look at your credit report and see what's on there. What happened is that her credit utilization was off. She was maxed out on most of her cards. So I said, okay, when clients come to me, I give them what I call your own personal financial roadmap. I said, this is your roadmap. This is the journey that you need to take. You need to work on paying your credit card balances down towards 30% or below. When you do that, come back to see me. She came back and we took a look at her credit report again. And sure enough, her scores shot up. She's like, what? This is awesome. Like, yes, we don't know the exact formula that goes into determining credit scores, but we know how we can help maximize the points that are allocated for each particular category. And with credit utilization, That's a really, really big category where most people are not maximizing their scoring potential. Okay? So we spoke about credit utilization, credit history. Credit history accounts for 15% of your scores, right? And a lot of times people have new credit or they have no credit at all. So in that category, which is 15% that's allocated to it, you can get a maximum of 82.5 points, all right? But if you don't have any credit history on there, you're leaving points on the table. That's 82.5 points that you're losing because of not having credit history. So one of the quickest ways to gain credit history is going ahead and getting added to someone's account as what we call an authorized user. Okay? You need to find someone who has a credit card with a great payment history and low, that's the key, low credit utilization. Okay? You need to find a relative or a friend with a credit card with good history and ask to be added to their account as an authorized user. Now, the kicker is that you do not need their card, their physical card, to inherit their payment history. We just want to piggyback on their good payment history. So what they're going to do is they're simply going to add you as an authorized user, and they're going to have the card sent to them, not to you,
Right.
where they can destroy the card so they are assured that you cannot charge anything on their account, because that's not the purpose of the exercise, okay? You don't want to have access to someone's account to be able to charge on it. The only thing that you want to do is to be able to piggyback on their good payment history. Okay?
Right.
So that's 15% of your credit score. The next one is new credit. And the solution to that is adding trade lines. And what's a trade line? A trade line is every item that appears on your credit report. Okay? If you have a student loan, that's a trade line. If you have a car loan, that's a trade line. If you have a mortgage, that's a trade line. Each credit card is a trade line, okay? And like I said, 10% of your credit score is based on your ability to get new credit. And it can be a challenge if you have a low credit score or if you have no credit at all. Usually, it's easy to apply for a department store credit or a merchant credit. In one of my classes, the question was asked, what about, like a Finger Hut or something like that? Normally, those cards are a little bit easier to get. If your credit isn't so bad, you'll probably be able to get approved. Or you can apply for a secured credit card. And what exactly is a secured credit card? This is a credit card that you say you put between $500, or some of them can go as low as $200 per $1,000 or above that, on a credit card. And you use that card to build new credit, okay? So whatever amount of money that you put to secure that account, that's what your credit limit is going to be. If you put $300 down, you can't charge over $300. Your credit limit is going to be $300. But when you're thinking about opening a secure credit card, you want to make sure that that card reports to all three bureaus. Because if it doesn't report to all three bureaus, that's defeating the whole purpose of having the card, because you want to be able to build your credit scores in all three bureaus, okay? And you also want to make sure that the card that you choose, it doesn't have a lot of fees built into it, because I've seen some cards out there, Sarah, that, for example, you put down $200, the application fee is $49. And then there's another fee, a yearly fee that they take out right away that's there. So that by the time you get the card in your hand and they take out all of their fees, you may have $50 of available credit left to you, okay? So you want to make sure that you look at the fees that are attached to that particular card. Okay.
Nice.
Now, another one is converting your rental history into a credit history. There are companies that are out there now that you can pay a fee to them, and they can go back for 2 years and add your timely now on time rental history to your credit report. And that will help build your credit fast as well. Now, another one is the credit builder loan. Okay. This one is awesome. This works very, very quickly, right? And what is that? The bank or the person that's granting you the account, they open a CD, a certificate of deposit, in your name for $500 to $1,000, right? Now, what the bank does, it freezes the CD. You don't get the money in your hand, all right? It freezes the CD and it charges you a monthly payment until the balance is paid off. And every month that you make that monthly payment, your payments are reported to the credit bureaus. Okay? And
What
once,
do you recommend as far as CD? Because I know that they have different terms.
yes, and you can get one here. I have Self. I use Self a lot. And the referral code for Self is 153-58487. That's
Okay.
153-58487. Okay? You can just go online to self.inc and
Okay.
open the account there.
Okay.
And it works very, very quickly. You'll see your credit scores increase after one reporting cycle. Okay?
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And this process helps you in two ways. First, number one, the new credit is added to your credit report with history of on-time payments. And secondly, by default, you're building an emergency fund, because when you finish paying all of your payments into the bank, you will have built up a nest egg of $500 or $1,000, whatever amount it is that you signed up for.
Okay.
Okay? Now, the last one is credit mixture. And that's 10% of your score. What exactly, you say, Deborah, what do you mean by credit mixture? It means the type of credit, because credit is broken down into revolving debt or installment debt, right? What exactly is revolving debt? That's like your credit cards, okay? Because when you think about it, your credit cards, the balance is revolving. Every month as you use them, as you make a payment, the balance, it revolves, right? So that's your revolving credit. And then we have your installment debt. What's installment? That's like your car, your mortgage, your credit builder loan, your student loans, anything that has a fixed monthly payment that doesn't change, that's your installment debt, all right? Now, most lenders like to see a good credit mixture. They don't want to see all credit card debt, okay? Ideally, you should have 3 active revolving to 1 installment. That's like an ideal mixture. And also, lenders, they want to see 12 to 24 months of trade lines that's on your credit report, okay? Now, when you get signed on to someone's account as an authorized user, that gives you the revolving debt that you need as far as your credit mixture is concerned, while the credit builder loan gives you the installment debt, okay?
Now, when you're doing a little bit better, for example, you get a lot of these companies, different credit cards coming in, offering you. Is that a good idea to jump on those, different companies offering you credit?
You mean if you're trying to establish credit or you already have credit?
Well, let's just say you already have an established credit.
Okay.
You get a lot of offers in the mail.
All right. It depends on what it is you're trying to accomplish. Because if you want to buy a house, You don't want to have too many open credit cards or have too many credit cards, period. Okay? Because what's going to happen when you're qualifying, the bank is going to look at what we call your debt to income ratio. They're going to compare how much you make each month with what your outstanding debt is. So you want to have as little debt as possible when you're going into purchasing a home. Okay? Because every dollar that you have out there outstanding in debt, that's taking away from the amount of home that you're able to qualify for. Okay? So I work with my clients to try to get your debt paid down as much as possible. Okay?
Now, what about these companies that you see on social media, on Facebook, and they put these great pictures of people buying brand new homes and an Audi and a Lexus, and look at my client, she just bought a brand new car because I fixed her credit, just pay me $80 a month and I'll fix it, and you have to stay with that company for 2 years. What's your honest opinion on those companies?
Oh boy. Oh boy. You're going to get me killed now, Sarah. Okay. This is Deborah's opinion, okay? This is Deborah's opinion based on my experience, okay? All right. Each company, they have their own business model, and I'm not knocking anyone. I'm just giving you the benefit of my experience, okay? You have some companies that will charge an upfront fee and then a monthly fee, right? To help someone repair, restore their credit, whatever term you want to use, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that if that's the way they want to do their business. You have some companies that will charge you an upfront fee, but then charge you a per item fee to remove it from your credit, okay? Now, to all of my logical people out there, logical thinking people out there that are listening to this presentation, think about it. If I can lock you into a monthly fee that you have to pay me a fee every month, why would I handle getting your credit restored quickly? Because wouldn't that be taking money out of my pocket? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. I have a client, him and his wife, that came to me. They were with one of these credit repair firms out there. They had been with them for 2 years. 2 years. Each of them paying $100 and something a month. Now, what on God's green earth could you possibly have on there that's going to take 2 years? Are you kidding me? Okay, so we want to be logical about this whole credit restoration, credit repair thing, if you want to call it that. You can do it yourself. You can do it yourself. I can fix my car myself. I can go on YouTube and look at a video and tinker around with it myself. But do I want to do that? No, right? With your credit, unless it's something really, really simple that's on there, of course I advocate going ahead and doing it yourself. But sometimes there are certain things that it's best left to the experts or to someone that knows what they're doing, okay? Because like I said earlier when I started, you can make matters worse, all right, by messing around with it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you so much for taking the time.